Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Live at the Backyard Bird Center. Hey, I got a crowd with me today. We got this is a request from the internet that they were interested in the staff and what they consider some of their favorite, their favorite bird, their favorite place to go bird watching, that kind of thing. And so we kind of put together something here, and we're going to have a round robin. Let people take turns as to their favorites. And so, the bird on the screen right now is my favorite bird. That's the loggerhead shrike. And if you Monday on the Bird of the Week article will be about that bird, so you'll get to learn a lot more about it and why it's my favorite bird. But we're going to go around and ask these guys and let them tell you what their favorites are. We thought we would start with how long have you been bird watching? I started in June. I consider June of 1983 when I was in college, when my light bulb kind of turned on to me about bird watching. Long time ago. Yeah, so that's mine. Which way you want to go? You want to go this way?
My parents fed the birds when I was little, and I would take care of the pigeons that my neighbor's cats got and either nurse them along till they survived or didn't. But I really got started bird watching in about 1991.
She met me in 92.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Carrie?
I started bird watching not too long after I started feeding birds in my backyard as, an adult. And that was in about 2000 or so. And my interest has just grown since then because of all these guys. Thank you. And my life list has grown.
I kind of like Ruth. I grew up with a mom who fed birds. We had a martin house. We had wren houses. I grew up over off of North Brighton, where the Ravenwood neighborhood is now. But in those days, back when I was a youngin', it was cow pastures and cornfields and a lot of natural area. And my mother really liked hiking down the dirt roads that were there then. And so I just grew up being very aware of everything with nature. With Mom, and so it was just has always sort of been, but kind of an aha moment that there was another kind of question. A good friend of my husband's from college went on to work for the Department of Conservation, and she was the assistant manager at Fountain Grove Wildlife Refuge, and I realized that she could identify hawks from a mile away, and that's when I said, yeah, I want to be able to do that. So it went from just sort of knowing all the birds in my neighborhood and being aware of them to I want to be able to tell what it is from a long way away. Is that my northern terrier?
It's on the screen behind us. Yeah, and that leads directly into our next question is, I like to call them click birds. And the post I put on Facebook yesterday advertising this, encouraging to watch, is a lot of people have a click bird, meaning they're, they may have grown up seeing cardinals and everything their whole life, but there's usually one bird that is like, wow, in your life that gets you to, wow, if that bird's that cool, then I go look at that one. And this is the northern harrier on the screen behind us that Joyce was talking about being her click bird. So mine from yesterday's post was the prairie warbler. That was back in college. Ruth, what's your click bird?
Mine was the yellow warbler. I didn't know what it was at the time, and my mom had given me a bird feeder, and we had it out in the tree, and this bird didn't go to the feeder, but it stopped near the feeder, and I was like, wow, that's all yellow. And then later at the Burroughs Library at Lake Jacomo, I saw another one, and that's when we were able to identify it, figure out what it was.
Carrie? Click bird?
My click bird was the indigo bunting. That was, many years ago, and it was really the first bird that I learned beyond the scope of my backyard when I was out on a hike or a walk, and beautiful song, and I followed it off the hiking trail to find who was singing this song, and now I see them everywhere. But I tell you, hiking has been very different since then.
It opens a whole new world
Whole new
to
world.
you. Yes, absolutely. And I did have a question about indigo buntings from a customer from the post yesterday, saying that they've never had them in their yard, and you know how to see them, and you know they will come to the feeders. They come. I see them most often with the goldfinches feeding. They'll eat sunflower. They'll eat Niger. They'll eat millet. But I'm telling you, indigo buntings are very common birds in our area. Nesting birds, not here this time of year, but nesting birds. And this is a bird that once you learn its song, like Carrie was saying, you realize how common indigo buntings are in our area. They really are. So I encourage you to and we'll do a whole program on bird songs and things, but learning that song and then going out like the Martha Lafitte and just the prairie, the open grass area when you first pull in, I bet you there's a half dozen indigo buntings around that area that nest that you can find them up there. So there what?
Joyce's clip. Oh, we did Joyce's clip.
Mhm.
Sorry.
We did.
Sorry.
We started with her. She
segued
started
into
the
it.
whole thing.
That's right.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite birding location? And this can be locally or distance away. Who has a new
Well, I don't get off the block much, so my favorite birding place is very local, and that is Parkville Nature Sanctuary. I like it because there is water, there's a stream, so that brings in those birds that you know, eat bugs and feed down at the edge of the creek. Then up on a higher elevation, you have more dense trees, and that's different kind of birds. It's an easy hike. It's a short hike. This girl can manage it. I just think it has all the elements for all different kinds of birds. Birds of prey, warblers, songbirds, and thrushes, and it's a great park.
Excellent. Yours is a little more distant.
Well, yeah, locally we're very fortunate that we own some property up in north central Missouri, and so that's our go-to place. We've got about 160 birds up there on our list of house birds up in northern Missouri. That if I could get somebody to come up in the spring and identify all those warblers that I don't know what they are, I'd have a lot more.
Expand your list quite a bit.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Expand my list more because I don't know all those migratory warblers that fly through in May. But yeah, I'm afraid that my favorite birding place is further afield, northern Scotland and the Orkney Islands. Take the cake for me. That it's just a whole different world. It's a whole
Where's
different
Orkney?
world.
I lost it.
Where's Orkney? He lost Orkney.
It was there. I swear it was.
You showed it to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it the puffin?
It's the puffins.
It's the puffins.
Yeah, you went past the puffin. There it is.
There supposed to be two puffin pictures.
Yeah,
Oh well.
anyway. So
Isn't he cute?
isn't he cute? That's
Yeah.
not the puffin I thought I was sending you, but cool. Yeah, that's a puffin. So this is going on with the favorite bird thing too. So is
We'll
there,
transition into that.
okay. Well, Ruth didn't get to say what her favorite birding spot was.
Okay.
Is there the one with the more puffins? Is the next one more puffins?
No, it's not. I don't know why I didn't
Oh,
import it.
anywho, in Orkney, there's if you're not familiar with the Orkney Islands, they're north of Scotland, not very far north, and it's a series of small islands, some inhabited, some uninhabited, and we were fortunate to go on a birding trip and went to one of the uninhabited ones. So the seabirds that nest there are not afraid of humans because they don't see many, and so like this puffin picture was not blown up with a big lens from half a mile away. We were about 4 feet from the puffin when we took the puffin picture. They just don't know that they should run away, and so you've got puffins everywhere around your feet, and it's really cool, and you should go.
And it is an Atlantic puffin. There are
It is.
other species, but this is the same one that nests in this country. They and off the coast of Maine. Ruth and I have been on a trip up there before where we got to get in blinds or hides, as they call them, and the puffins landed on the roof after we were in there, and we got and it was outstanding. So there are places in this country you can see it too.
But the Pacific puffins are cool.
Yeah, there are a couple
It's hard to
species on
find a
the
bad puffin.
That's
Yeah.
right.
There's
The clowns of the bird world, as we like to call them. All right, Ruth. Location-wise?
I'm kind of like Joyce. I like my own backyard for nice, calm, solitary birding. But then any place I can go with friends is great for a destination.
Smithville
Yes,
picture. Yeah.
that Smithville Lake, out to Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms, any of the Colorado, like Mark said, Maine. I've been fortunate to go out of country as well, to Belize and Spain, and so any place you can go with friends is a good place to go birding.
Absolutely.
I'm going to interject a second. That's one of the things that I think that we all do is I don't go on any trip without my binoculars and without a bird book.
Yeah.
That even if my husband was going on a business trip to Las Vegas, and I was just going along, I had my bird book, I had my binoculars, and I made a point of the Henderson Water Treatment Plant, darn fine birding.
Yeah.
But you find someplace, there's some place everywhere that you go, even though that's not the point of your trip.
There's birds
There's
there.
birds there,
Yeah.
and there's different birds there. So just kind of figure to take an hour and a half some afternoon and go to a city park and see what you can see. So
Different parts of the country are going to get you different birds, and you can. It's a great point because yes, Melanie, who's sitting here off camera, everywhere we've ever been, luckily my family likes to sleep in, and birds are up early, so I tend to, wherever we go, I tend to be up and out of the hotel and at a location for at least a couple hours, and then they're up, and by the time I get back, they've gotten breakfast and I've gotten in a couple hours of birding, and it's a great way to explore and not have to hear the can we go? So,
and it's cheap.
It's cheap,
Yeah.
absolutely. This is one of my favorite birding locations. This picture was taken southeast Arizona a few years ago. A group that we had down there. It's amazing. I love that location because it's a finger of mountains that reach up from Mexico right into the southeast corner, south of Tucson and south, and Arizona. And I love that location because a lot of Mexican species just finger up into that little tip of North America that you can see so many things. On this trip, we had 11 different species of hummingbirds and when we were there, and elegant trogons and roadrunners and different things. The desert birds, mountain birds. It's a spectacular place to go. One of my favorite locations. Yeah, lots of. And it can be 100 degrees or 105 degrees in the desert, but you can go up in elevation by mid-morning and bang. Yeah, you need a jacket. It's pretty crazy. So one of my favorite birding locations. Okay. Absolutely. What's up now? Favorite bird. What is your favorite bird of all time that you've seen? I mean, you could pick a bird out of a magazine or off of some special on television, but most people, it's their favorite bird that they have seen personally. Who wants to go?
I'll start.
All right.
Mine is a childhood bird. I didn't get to see it very often. I grew up on Long Island, and the only time I saw red-winged blackbirds was when we'd go to Jones Beach. They would hang out on the sand dunes in the shrubs by the restaurant, and that's the only time I got to hear them and see them. And now every time I see them in February or March, for me they're the first bird of spring to me. So I love the red-winged blackbirds. Other than that, it's whatever bird I'm looking at the moment.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Char says that when she lived in Maine, that's when she got into birding, and it was the grosbeaks.
Yeah.
Grosbeaks.
The rose-breasted grosbeaks?
She just said grosbeaks.
Grosbeaks.
Yeah.
Oh, evening grosbeaks.
Up in Maine.
Up in
Yeah.
Maine. Yeah, beautiful. Maine is one of my
Nice. Thanks for
absolute
sharing
favorite
that.
birding locations. That's great. That's a great share. It's we spent our honeymoon in Maine. My wife and I did, and have been back a few times since then. And that's where I saw puffins. It's off the coast of Maine. So yeah, absolutely great. All right.
Joyce?
Well, I'm not seeing the mine there. Well, he picked puffins. I said rose-breasted grosbeak, but he doesn't have a rose-breasted grosbeak picture. So puffins are good. Puffins are way up there. But domestically, kind of like with Ruth, bird of spring is a rose-breasted grosbeak. That just, you see that male that first time when you go, what is that and why is he bleeding?
Yeah.
And they have hot pink armpits, and that's so cool when they fly by and you get that. And the females, you see it and you think, wow, that is a big sparrow, until you realize, no, the grosbeaks are back. But yeah, puffins too.
Yeah, and I thought I had puffin as yours. I forgot about the rose.
Yeah,
You said
both.
rose-breasted grosbeak. Carrie?
I think mine is the yellow-billed cuckoo.
Which is her picture. She took this picture of
Yes,
yellow-billed
that's my
cuckoo.
photo. Thanks. When I added that bird to my life list, I was on a Mother's Day, Mark's annual Mother's Day hike at Weston, and it was just nice to get that on my life list. And that same day, I got a decent photo of it. And once you get it on your life list, you know it. And my birding outings and my hikes have just never been the same. It's got such a distinctive call. It's a pretty bird in its own way, with all the different colorings and the head shape and just their behaviors. And now I see them everywhere and hear them everywhere. You hear them more than you see them.
And that is a lot like the indigo bunting we talked about. It's like once you learn their call, you realize they're not that uncommon. Now, they might be difficult to find up in the foliage, but yeah. I mean, and they're so unique. It's a great bird. I love yellow-billed cuckoos. And she also saw black-billed cuckoo this last year. She was the one who spotted it out the window at the Town Ranch. All right. So, have you done yours? You've done yours? And I did.
Yes.
I started with mine, the loggerhead shrike. And then the last thing I had was your fondest birding memory, and that is and Carrie pulled up. I'll go ahead and put hers up there because she's the one who actually has a picture from what she considers her fondest birding memory.
My birding has been really with Mark and the groups that he has on the Thursday morning hikes and the second Sunday at Smithville, but. Brian and Mark and I went out early one morning, and that's really the first time I felt like what it is like to get ready to go birding. You're not just going on a walk and you're going to find some birds and while you're out. This was for the purpose of finding a bird to add to my life list. As I frequently tell Mark, it's all about me. Let's go out birding to get a bird for my life list. So we went in search of the LeConte sparrow, and so I had to go out and get boots and weatherize them, treat them. I had to get up early to layer, and it was so exciting. I didn't mind getting up so early in the morning and taking off. And by golly, we got that
She
bird
got a great picture of it.
standing in cold water, up to my ankles and cold hands, because I'm using my binoculars and trying to get the photo. And yes,
It's amazing whenever you get that first one, how your hands aren't cold anymore.
Right.
You're not shivering anything because it's like, yes, the pump and the high fit. So, they're, and that's one of the reasons why I have spent my entire career, I think, trying to encourage people to get out of your backyard. Go in search of birds. I remember a quote from a guy on one of my bird hikes at Baroque was many years ago, and I know Ruth was there. There was a guy on the hike. He was new, and it was a spring migration. It was just a great day. We had so many different new birds, and I remember we were looking at a rose-breasted grosbeak to tie into Joyce's favorite bird. And the gentleman on the hike, he got the bird in his binoculars, and he looked at me, and he's like in his 50s, and he said, "You mean to tell me that bird's been here my whole life?" And I said, "Yes." And he was flabbergasted. He was just like, "I can't believe something that beautiful has been here my whole life, and I've never seen it." And that, you can see rose-breasted grosbeaks in your backyard, but if you get out and explore and you take hikes and you could visit some of these places we're talking about, you will see so much more. A world opens up to you. So that's why we do it. That's why we wanted to do this program, and we're so thankful for the suggestion. And we hope that, like I said, you can get out and share those moments with us. Send us pictures. Send us your stories like that, because people want to hear them. And Carrie's new to the birders, as you can tell. And one of the things that she's like, well, I'm going to seem like, a rookie
Boring.
compared to boring. I said, most people relate to you better than they can from us that have been doing it for 35 years. So, you got to start somewhere. And
she hasn't become jaded like the rest of us.
Oh, it's just another bluebird. It's just
Like-
another yellow
Like
warbler.
Mark is saying, it just opens up a whole new world. You get so comfortable with the birds in your backyard, and it's amazing what world opens up to you when you just decide to take a walk in a park you've not been to before, or just drive a little farther to a different park and just practice learning those, singling out those bird sounds, when in your backyard it might just sound like an orchestra. But I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all these guys. I've been a customer of this store since about 2004, and I learned a lot from these guys and John Burwell. But when I started working here almost 3 years ago, a whole new world opened up to me, and I'm so thankful to all of you.
Well, thank you. I mean, and it's so refreshing. And I did an exercise the other day for kind of a class that Melanie and I are taking, and it had us list the things that we enjoy most about our job. And I have always said it is that light bulb coming on from another person that I'm talking to, teaching to, or having the field, and they see that bird and that aha moment, or that's what gives me joy. That finding them a new bird for their life list. And we celebrate when you see the group hike and stuff. When a person on our group hike gets a new live bird, there's all kind of high fiving and fist bumping and everything, because we know that feeling. All of us, we evolved with that, so we know how exciting that is for people. So. Great idea for a program. Thanks so much. Please send in ideas for more programs. Please like the videos, give them a share if you would. And until then, come by, let's talk birds.